it's amazing with how little trouble they have been able to, I would say, copy Gears of War and completely pull it off and this Mass Effect game and just make it work, because it does, and it feels like Gears of War and plays almost as good. So, I mean, amazing stuff.
But as well, perhaps we should get back to just talking about the story a bit, because it's one thing that BioWare comes from a long tradition of like Baldur's Gate and the Black Isle games and stuff like that. They've always been able to tell really, really good storylines, and we'll get to what we individually think about the storyline a little bit, but just talking about the characters, again, Commander Shepard, even though you get to choose her and his, is it going to be a male or female, it's going to be a ruthless soldier or a more shining beacon of humanity. Just the way that Commander Shepard has really come into his or her own now.
Yeah.
It's an amazing character to follow. And you can import old save files and just continue on from Mass Effect 1. I can't get enough of Commander Shepard, and I can't get enough of in my case, her team. I know you play a male Commander Shepard.
Well, I would say that it's no surprise that the story is really good, but it should be said that this time around it's a story that's more being built on the individual characters of your team. Compared to the first game, where you had this main storyline about the Reapers and everything. And I mean, that will determine what you think of the story, because this very much is the second part of a trilogy. And I really felt that throughout the whole game, especially towards the end, which you haven't reached yet.
I will kill him just as much as the viewers will.
But
if you spoil anything about the
no,
ending.
I won't spoil anything. But towards the end, it will dawn upon you that this really is more of the individual characters' stories that turns into a big new story. But it really doesn't do a lot to move the main story of the whole trilogy in the right direction, I feel.
No, as we said now, I haven't finished the game yet. I've played many hours, but I've not reached the end yet. But also what you said about the characters, because there's characters we've been comparing notes, what we feel about them. And I love certain characters that you don't like, so we'll just have to...
Which again says something about how complex and how well put together the characters are.
Absolutely, and they already were in the first game, so I'm not surprised that they managed to pull that off again. But at the same time, it's kind of fun to see how that develops, because now you have to make them loyal to you, and you unlock new abilities if you make them loyal. And it kind of reminds me of a certain other follow-up to a BioWare game, which is Knights of the Old Republic 2, which was left in the hands of Obsidian Entertainment. So I'm quite happy that BioWare is actually people still in charge of development of this IP.
Yeah.
Because Obsidian sadly wasn't managed to pull that off in the way that BioWare has done. But it's also nice to see that inspiration in a way, that the individual characters become, and their agendas become more important this time around than it was in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
But there are some other things you've been hinting to me at that you're not really enjoying in Mass Effect 2.
It should be said that I loved every minute of the game, so don't take this as a game breaker, but I did feel that it's a very, very stringent, put together game. I mean, it's about 3 hours into the game, I was more or less able to see how the rest of the adventure would be built up, and the way that you're given missions and stuff like that. I mean, I would have liked to see it more free-flowing. You are able to visit the planets that you want to, but for now there really isn't a lot that you can do there. And the main mission is pick up this character, hear his or her story, and do the same again and again and again and again. It didn't at all ruin the game for me, but I mean, it just sort of contradicts the way BioWare usually puts together games. And the second thing is that this really is, I would say, almost more of an action game than it is a role-playing game, which might turn some people off who loved the first game, because that was more of a role-playing game than an action game.
Yeah, I might agree with that, but what I've seen so far, it was released in the States a couple of days ago. What I've heard so far from the guys who just started playing it, they love it just as much. Let's just say that what I'm really happy about, I love Mass Effect 2 more than anything.
I love Mass Effect 2 as well.
But it has a different setup, and it's kind of, the missions are done, and as you say, it's not as free-flowing as first, but there's no Mako.
That's true.
There's no car driving, and that just makes it so much better.
Yeah, and that's just it. We should just conclude it on that. Mass Effect 2 is an amazing game, and everyone who loved the first game will love this. Most of the people who loved the first game will love this as well, and I would even go as far as to recommend this to action gamers who didn't necessarily play the first game.
Absolutely.
I've had enough of this.